Welcome to another video, and today we're going to be doing another Project L video. I'm so excited for the game. I know that it's still in development, which is why we're able to speculate, and that is the point of this video. I want to speculate, why is Project L so different from other fighting games and why I'm so excited for it. The main reason is the roster. And that is the main difference between Project L and other fighting games. So let me show you what I mean. This is what I would believe is the most iconic fighting game, which is Street Fighter. One, it's got the name Fighter in there, right? So we know it's going to be dope. We know this is kind of like where everyone thinks, every time you think of a fighting game, people think of the Hadouken. When people think of fighting games, when they think of the fighting character, and this is where I'm going, they think of this guy, not Cammy right here. They think of Ryu. With Ryu comes a very set, and I would say expectation from a fighting game. Either they're paying homage to the fighting game, which is Ryu and Street Fighter, or they use that as a template to build their fighting game. And what do I mean by that? Let me show you a few other fighting games. Let's talk Tekken. Tekken, whose homage or way of trying to go against Ryu or anything like that, some sort of way, is Jin. It is the main protagonist of the series, and they operate very close to Ryu in terms of they are the ones that they build everything around. Jin and everyone else kind of is a variation of Jin and the Shoto character, right? They have a Shoto character that very much resembles Ryu. Let's look at Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter right here has the same thing. They got the Shoto fighter, Ryu. This time, this isn't necessarily the main character, but he is very much the guy that represents Virtua Fighter. Some people might think it's someone else, they might think it's this guy, right? But I very much think Virtua Fighter is just a very close copy of Street Fighter. Not necessarily in the mechanics, but more so in the visual aspect, right? Let's look at another video game, fighting game. Dragon Ball FighterZ, an anime fighting game, who you might not think, well, this doesn't look like Street Fighter. And you were right. However, the Shoto character of this Ryu character, because I think the Shoto character is very close. Once you're in the fighting game, you know what it means. But for most people, they think, okay, who's the Ryu of the game? Who is the guy? Even in an anime fighter like this, we got Goku. We got the guy who does the fireball, aka the Kamehameha, and then who has the kicks, who in this game, this Goku base right here, has literally not fire kicks, but he's got the spinning kicks, he's got the Tatsumaku, right? Which is so similar. Let's look at one more. One where you might not think is a very good contender, but here it is. Mortal Kombat. I think is one of the more unique character designs in fighting games. But we got the person right here, not Sub-Zero. Even though Sub-Zero kind of has the fireball, we've got Liu Kang, who's got the fireball, literally a ball of fire, and he's got the kicks. He's the main character. He is a Shoto character, right? Hopefully you guys understand where I'm going with this. Every fighting game that is meant to be a fighting game has this sort of homage to Ryu and, you know, to who started it all. And, you know, that's nothing bad. I think it's actually a very cool thing that, you know, one of the things that the Showdown, what was it called? Japanese fighting game developer roundtable was talking about was the fact that fighting games and shooting games are different. They're saying shooting games are way more simple, and that it's really hard to translate going from a fighting game to another fighting game as it is a shooting game to a shooting game. So shooting game, they say, okay, you point and you shoot, and that's the end of that. Fighting games are different. Some have air dashes, which helps you out with mobility. The other ones don't give you air dashes. Some have meter. Other ones have different ways of meters. The comboing is different. The inputs are different, right? That's what he means. Even just trying to do a Hadouken in different games are completely different, right? But actually, the difference or the thing that kind of helps link most fighting games is the use of the Shoto character or this Ryu, where you can go into any fighting game and just say, okay, who is the Ryu of this game? Let me pick them so I can learn the mechanics, I can learn the basics, and then I'll start venturing off to different characters, right? And that's the slight difference in them. Now, I bring that up for one specific reason, and I want to make this video kind of short, is Project L has these as their champions. Okay? Notice that none of these necessarily have the Ryu feature. None of these characters necessarily look like they would be the Ryu of this game. Right? We've got Link over here, right? Who Fizz, Fiora, none of these characters have that fighting game trope, that Shoto character. And this is something that I feel will completely throw off the fighting game community. If they were to release Project L, I just pray here. Let's make this scrolling a little bit slow. I just pray that they take the chance to not include a Shoto character. I know it's gonna be such a tough thing to do, but I just hope they do not create a Shoto character in this game. I want them to try different things. I want them to figure out how they can make their game unique. And we've seen it before on their clips that the characters they've shown have not necessarily looked like a Shoto game. Most of the characters that they've revealed kind of look a little different. And I hope that becomes the case. I want them to try and not stick to a brand. I don't want them to feel like you have to do the fighting game trope. I want them to try their best to make their own game. And that will set it apart. One final thing that I do want to say is there is one other game that does not have, or at least did not have for a while, a Shoto character, right? And maybe this is just because I don't fully play the game. I feel like I got a little too late into the game, but that is Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. This is a fighting game, very fun, very fast. I've seen it before. It's a 3v3, I believe, or a 2v2 fighting game that does not have that typical Ryu. In fact, they all look, in my opinion, the Power Rangers all look the same to me, right? But what makes it such a good game is that none of them necessarily have this Ryu look to them, right? Until they literally got Ryu in the game. They finally took Ryu, the Ryu Ranger, right? They eventually got Ryu in the game. That's the only Shoto is they, instead of them paying homage to it, they just said, we're just gonna use you in our game. And that is so cool because they were able to create their own game that didn't have to feel like a fighting game. Unfortunately, when this game came out, I was still in college and I wasn't able to play it, right? And in a fighting game, or at least in any video game, I feel like most of you guys know, if you guys aren't playing the game maybe two years in, it kind of dies down. There's not as much community, and online it's not going to be that good. I just didn't want to play it because I'm not a big Power Rangers fan, and I didn't really know how the game would play out. And then I had Dragon Ball Fighters, which was the thing that kind of took up my time. But this is a game that I would say was a successful fighting game. They did it great. They were able to get a good community around it, and they stayed away from Ryu until they literally got Ryu, right? That is something that I want to see in Project L. So thank you guys for listening. Are you guys as excited for Project L as I am? I can make so many videos about this one video game that's coming up. But the other thing that's so close to happening is, I believe this month, I believe it's in April or in May. I think it's in April, where the new Path of Champions update is coming, and I'm excited to play it. So stick around for a little longer while we do these kind of videos until Path of Champion comes out, the new Path and revamped Path of Champions. So have a great time. I'm super excited for this game, and I shall see you guys next time. Peace.